Well, I've been scouring Craigslist, because as you know, we've got a bad block on my Ford 8N, and this is what I came up with. It's a parts tractor. I got it for a really good deal because like I said, it's definitely a parts tractor. You might make it go, but it's got a few things I'll show you that are going against it as far as being put back into service. This is a 1950 Ford 8N. So, a few things right off. All four tires are junk. The best one you could say would be this one over here, which it may be usable, but that's pretty much it. It's super dry rotted, and it's about to lose its tread, most likely. We got this rear one, which is just completely split up. It probably actually would have been savable, except for, I guess, at some point the tube started leaking, and they rolled it around on a flat, and it ripped the tire, shredded the tire up. So it's no good. And then you got this one on this side, which actually is holding air, but it's not off a Ford 8N. It's a huge, wide tire. It's not the right rim. Somebody just stuck this one on it, but I don't know what it came off of. The guy had a bunch of Farmall tractors, so maybe it came off some Farmall. And then I picked up about a 5.5 foot or a 5 foot brush hog, and the gearbox on it is in pieces. But I got this thing super cheap, so I went ahead and got it. So the tractor, like I said, it's a 1950. So let's start with some of the negatives. This fender's good. That fender has been fiberglassed in several spots, and so it's no good. I mean, it's usable, but you know, if you were using it as a tractor, it's fine. If you were wanting to restore it or something, you want a new one. And I actually do like these. Mine's got the older fenders on it. Of course, mine is an older tractor, but I do like the ones that have the embossed Ford on them. But my fenders are in great shape, so I'll use mine. The hood is rusted out. You saw the rust spot on the other side. There's a rust spot on this side. It's a shame because this hood is actually in better shape than mine. It's got a little bit of denting on the front, but mine's pretty dented up. Mine's rust free. So this tractor obviously sat outside for a long time. Mine, I think, was barn kept. So even though mine's older, it doesn't have any rust on it whatsoever. So you can see rusted out seat. It's got a different style seat. Somebody has changed the seat out. It's probably a more comfortable style seat if it actually was in good shape. What I might try to do is see if I can rebuild the seat assembly and replace it. So this thing, like I said, it's a 1950. So it's got the better steering gearbox. It's got the proof meter. Both of those will be going on my tractor, as long as both of them are in good shape. Of course, the block, it's a side mount distributor, so that's also a nice upgrade. It's got the spot on the governor, of course, for the proof meter. So all that will go on my tractor. It's missing the carburetor. That's no big deal. The motor does turn over. The radiator appears to be in better shape. Mine, for whatever reason, they took, I don't know if this neck broke off of mine, but my overflow tube is on the side right here. And of course the overflow tube is broke off too, so it's just a little hole in the radiator neck there. And so I'm not sure what they did there, and it's all crooked and stuff. So I'll probably try to use this radiator as long as it doesn't have a hole anywhere else in it. It's got the toolbox, which mine is missing, so I'll be using the toolbox. I haven't looked to see what all goodies are in here, but looks like we might have some good stuff in it. Let's see, what else about this thing? The gas tank stinks, but it doesn't look too bad. It's dry. It's got some junk down in the bottom, but it doesn't look rusty. It's probably a good savable gas tank. The motor, from what I can tell, does not have a crack or anything in it. I looked over this side real good. It's got a spot right here, but that is metal. It looks more like maybe a flaw in the casting, and maybe that's some nickel. It's not epoxy or anything. It is a metallic substance, so I think that's just a casting flaw. What else? Somebody has put a different head bolt in it for some reason. That's what I was saying. Somebody's put a different head bolt in one of the head bolts. I'm not sure why they did that. See it right there. I'm gonna pull that one out, and for right now, I don't know if it's too long or if it's just not tightened all the way, so I'm gonna pull it out and take a look. I don't know if somebody, that looks almost like a stainless bolt. I don't know if somebody needed a head bolt, so they pulled one out of this motor and then just stuck that bolt in there to plug the hole, or somebody lost a head bolt for it, or what. But before I crank it, I'm gonna get that torqued down, and just temporarily, because I don't want to start robbing parts off the other motor yet. Eventually I'll just pull a head bolt out of the other motor, but for right now I'll probably just throw a spacer in here and torque the thing down, and that'll work temporarily. So let me get this thing unloaded, and we will we'll go ahead and see if we can get this thing to run. I'll pull the carburetor off my other one, and I've got a coil, 12-volt coil, I'll put in here, and we'll wire it up. I'll clean the points, and we'll see if we can get it to fire off and see how it runs, see if it sounds like a good motor, see how much blow-by it's got, just kind of give it an evaluation. We may run a compression test as well, but you know, I don't know if this motor's had anything done to it, if it's been rebuilt, or if it's, you know, I just don't know. So I kind of doubt that mine has been rebuilt. So it's got according to the proof meter, 4,491 hours, and like I said, the cable's missing for the proof meter, but I don't know if they pulled that off when they pulled the carburetor off, because it could be in the way to get the carburetor off. I don't know. So I'm going to see if I can get these tires to hold a little air. This one's missing the valve core, so I loaded it up flat. I'm going to put a valve core in it and see if it'll take some air. That'll help unloading it. This thing is a pain, because if you can tell, they put that wheel on. That wheel's actually on backwards. It barely fits on the trailer. You can see how offset it is compared to that side, and the front wheels on this tractor are sucked in all the way. Mine are actually out, I think, one bolt hole to line up more with the rear wheels. This one, you can tell they're tucked in. See the, mine are out more to where they're lined up at the rear. So yeah, this thing is, when you try to do the ramp on this side, they don't line up. These two wheels do not line up, and so it's a pain. So I'll probably try to split the difference between the two and try to hit both wheels. When I was loading it, that guy actually had a set of ramps too, so I used mine and his to make it double wide on the ramps on this side to get it up on here. And we just pulled it up with another tractor he had, so it was easy. So I'm going to get the Bobcat and use the Bobcat to unload this mower, and then I'll pull the tractor off. Got that unloaded. Let's get the tractor unloaded. Alright, we got it unloaded. So you saw me unload the mower for the tractor. All I did was use the ratchet strap to lock the steering wheel so the wheels wouldn't turn on me. And then I aligned the ramps to where it was just barely, it was about that much on this tire, and mostly on this one, and pulled it off the Bobcat, and it came right off, rolled right off, and stayed on the ramps. Then hooked up right there, that's where the drawbar hooks up, and used that and picked up the rear of the tractor with the Bobcat and just steered it right on in here with the wheel straight, held straight, to turn it. Could swing the back end of the tractor around and just steered it right up on here. I mean, it's not straight, but I don't really care about it being straight. Didn't want to do too many turns. It's wet and making a mess. So we've got it on pavement now, and we can start to work on it. So one thing I forgot to show y'all, one of the main reasons why I consider this thing a parts tractor, and like I said, it's not to say that you couldn't redo it, but got one thing that they did to it that hurts it. Well, I can get this strap undone and get it out of the way. So I don't know how long this thing's been sitting outside, but at some point during its life outside, and I put this piece of plastic on here. When I went to see it, it was wide open. They had tried to get this plug off, and they rounded the top off, or not rounded it off, broke the top of it out. So it is full. It's been open to the elements. See, there's some rust from the cap. The gears look alright. Of course, they've been turning, so they've been, because I just moved the tractor, so they got an oil. Top part of them didn't look too bad. When I checked the oil, it looks okay, but water probably settled down to the bottom. And down at the bottom is the hydraulic pump. So it's possible the hydraulic pump is sitting in water. But who knows? It may be okay, but definitely a parts tractor. You know, the metal's no good on it, seat's no good, that fender's usable but really not that great, and you know, it doesn't have a lot going for it. I'd have to get a wheel, it needs all new tires, so you'd have to spend a lot of money to get this thing back to a functional tractor. Just tires and stuff, you've probably got about $800 into it, and you can find a decent tractor for $800. Probably in a not running shape, but with good tires on it. So it's really just not worth putting all that money into it unless it had sentimental value or anything like that. But it will serve a purpose. It will go to getting mine working, so we'll call that it's saving the life of another tractor. And I'll probably go ahead and get a cap for that and put it on there, and I'll probably at least drain the water out. What I may do is just drain all of it out. The gear oil in mine looks okay, but I want to change it anyway. So what I'll probably do is drain that gear oil at some point, save it, drain it into a clean container, and put fresh gear oil in it. Actually, I'll put hydraulic oil in it, but go back and put what I took out of that tractor and put it in here, and that way, you know, it's got gear oil in it, and it can help keep it from getting any worse, because there are a lot of good parts on this tractor. The other thing I forgot to mention is this is a 50, so it would have the inner axle seals. So if I ever, right now I don't think the axle seals are leaking on that one, but if they ever do, I'll go ahead and pull the axle shafts out of this one and add an inner axle seal to that older axle. The axles are different. The axle housings I think are the same, it's just the axle has a machined surface for a seal on this one. So I would need these axle shafts, and I could put on these axle shafts in that tractor and put inner seals on it, and that would help keep the gear oil in. So this thing has clean oil in it. It actually looks pretty nice. You know, doesn't have water in it, and it's not black. Let's see. That's the oil that's in it. So we're gonna go ahead. I think to make this thing easier to work on, and since I'm planning on pulling the motor anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the hood off of this thing, and I think that'll make it easier to actually work on, because I need to throw a coil in it, 12-volt coil. I have one, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in there. Unless that one is 12 volt, I just don't want to really mess. I don't want to burn up a good 6-volt coil if it is a good one, and I have no idea if that coil is any good anyway. So I know I have a good known working 12-volt coil, so I'll just throw it in there, and we'll clean the points, all that kind of stuff, throw the other carburetor on here, and see if we can get this thing to fire up. Oh, and we're going to put a battery in it. I've got the old battery that came out of that one. It really won't hold a charge at all, but it's enough to serve as a, you know, where I can hook the battery charger up and that old battery and probably get it to turn over. So let's get the hood off and see what kind of electrical system we've got left on this tractor, and see if we can make it where it'll turn over and have spark.